fantastic sparkling day. Excuse me. One moment. Apparently the vocal cords need a lubrication. Where are we up to? Welcome to Porchlight Letters podcast number 2224, The Risk of Openness. This is episode 2 for volume 19, which is Living Wide Open. Whew. Tell you, living wide open is a very different thing. I'm learning. So to live wide open is to risk being seen, known, and vulnerable. Openness can feel like standing without armor, but it's also where connection, healing, and transformation begin. Tonight, we explore the courage it takes to let the walls down and trust what comes through the cracks. We talked about the cracks yesterday, filling them up with some gold, making them more beautiful. It teaches us openness invites deeper relationships with ourselves and others. Yay! We like deeper relationships. Vulnerability is not weakness. It's where authenticity thrives. Being open doesn't mean sharing everything. It means showing up truthfully. Courage grows each time we risk letting our hearts be seen. What happens when you choose openness instead of hiding behind perfection? Well, if you've been watching us for a while, you know that we're perfectly imperfect. You create space for meaningful conversations and connections. You find strength in community instead of carrying everything alone. And you realize that being vulnerable invites others to do the same. So leading by example, it's a very good thing to do. I don't know what's going on with my mouth tonight, but this is like my 4th or 5th of these, and these are 40 ounces, this jug. I don't know why I'm just very, very thirsty today. How we carry it forward. We honor the boundaries that we honor the boundaries that keep you safe, but challenge the walls that keep you small. So stay safe, but get the walls down so you can grow. Practice sharing your truth without needing to be understood by everyone. You don't need to understand everyone, and everyone does not need to understand you. In fact, some people it's just sort of like, whatever. Just whatever. Go over there. Do what you need to do over there. We're going to be over here doing what we need to do over here. Let openness become an act of trust in yourself and in life's unfolding. Remember that courage is built one brave choice at a time. When we live openly, we leave a legacy of authenticity. Our willingness to be seen shows others that vulnerability is not something to fear, but something to honor. This is something that I'm reading all of this. We wrote all of this tonight, and as I was contemplating it, I was thinking back to all the times where I have gone inside myself, where I haven't been vulnerable, I haven't been open. And then I think of all the times on the podcast where I was completely open, like wide open with you guys. When Zephy passed, buckets of tears that day. And in the days since, in the last 5.5 weeks, it's you get to see my vulnerable side. There's times I'm so like, right, tonight I'm going to be strong. I'm going to be on camera. I'm going to be strong. I'm not going to break down. I'm going to be my super fantastic sparkling self. And I start off that way. And then some story I start to tell you triggers something that opens up that vulnerability and pours it out. So as much as I try to hide vulnerability from you guys, it doesn't work most of the time. Sometimes I can get through it. I somehow go into a different space in my head and it doesn't allow anything. It's that wall. And then there's other times it's just sort of like, yeah, that wall's not going to stay up tonight. But there's times you need to see other people being vulnerable as well. It's very hard for me to ask for help in anything. It is very hard for me to do that. I have almost panic attacks when I have to ask somebody for help. The first night in my RV, I locked myself out of my RV. Well, technically I hadn't locked myself out. I just couldn't get back in. After locking it, going and running errands and coming back again, I just couldn't get in. The key wasn't working properly. And I had to go and ask somebody for help. And I was like, oh, jeez. And so I went to the RV next door because I could hear people in there. And I knocked on the door. I had to knock a couple of times because at first they thought, was somebody at the door? I don't know. Then I knocked again. Oh, yeah, there was somebody at the door. Apparently I wasn't knocking loud enough. But I then told them what the situation was and asked for help getting back into my RV. I said, I've just bought this RV. I somehow locked myself out of it and I have no idea what I'm doing. Can you please help? So sometimes that one was a necessity. That was a real necessity. There are times when there is more of a necessity than not, and it's still hard for me to ask for help. Being a caregiver, we're always looking after other people. Yet the golden rule of caregiving is to take care of yourself first so you can take care of others, because you have to watch your health. You have to shield your health. You have to be healthy. You have to keep your health up. You have to take the extra precautions to keep yourself healthy, because if you get sick, who's going to take care of your loved one for you? And that was always playing in my mind. And it was like, you have to ask for help. You have to ask for people to come and sit with Brad while you go out and run errands and stuff and things like that. But the trouble I had was that at the time when this was most critical was that Brad had the ostomy from hell. And unless the person who was sitting with Brad knew how to deal with an ostomy, then all they could do is pick up the phone, call me and go, Brad's ostomy's leaking. And I couldn't be any more than 30 minutes from home. If I was more than 30 minutes from home, his skin was going to get very irritated. It would make it very hard to seal it back off again. So I had to get home within 30 minutes and get it changed, get the old appliance off, which is the bag, and get it all contained and changed and everything else before that 30 minutes was up, before his skin got too raw for us to be able to put another appliance on it. So those sorts of times was very, very difficult for me to ask for help. And people go, well, why don't you have somebody come and sit with Brad while you go do that? I says, what are they going to do if the ostomy breaks? If the ostomy overflows the bag, or, we would change the bag before I was going to go out, or the seal doesn't take and it leaks, what are they going to do? And like Brad even suggested to me one time, he says, oh, go to the spa and get a massage done. I says, I can't. He's like, yeah, you can. I says, no, I can't. And he was like, why not? And I said, it's very simple. I can be on the massage table. I will not be able to relax because I will be expecting my phone to ring from you to say that your ostomy's leaking and I now need to get home. I said I couldn't fully relax for as much as a massage would be really nice. I wouldn't be able to fully relax with one because of the thought that you may need me while I'm having a massage. And I says, and I know that you will not wait until I get home from the massage to tell me the bag's leak, because you know the issues we have if we leave it longer than 30 minutes. And he's like, okay, I get it. I said, so I'm going to go to Michael's. I'm going to go to Barnes & Noble. Those are my two home away from homes at that time. I was going to go and browse and I'll be home soon. And I would tell you, getting out of the house and going to Michael's or Barnes & Noble, those are my kryptonites. I love craft. I love walking through craft stores and getting ideas and picking up stuff. Going, oh, what if we did this, this, and this, and then picking up the pieces to go do that and create that project, or going to Barnes & Noble. And so that was where I had to be very strict with myself. And I actually did it a couple of times where I actually walked in, walked around, had a look, smelled the new books, looked at all the craft ideas, took notes on different ideas and things that I had, what tools I was going to need if I ever decided to do that project, and walked out without buying anything. And I'll get home, Brad would be like, what did you buy? I go, nothing. And he would look at me and go, what do you mean you didn't buy anything? He knew those two stores were my kryptonite, and I would always come home with something. But there was a few times I actually managed to restrain myself and not come home with anything. But being vulnerable in front of Brad was really hard to do as well, because part of our caregivers thing is don't hide your emotions from, you don't have to be strong. You do not have to be strong for your partner or your spouse or your child. Let them see you being vulnerable so that they understand. You've already got a good handle on what's happening with them because they're at their most vulnerable at that point. You need to show some of that vulnerability as well. So with that, yes, there was lots of tears. We went through many boxes of tissues during that time. Lots and lots of tears during that time. Oh, Freddie, the ostomy from hell. Thank goodness Freddie's gone. Okay, so we've got reflection questions for you. If you want to, we had a great coffee hour this morning at 7 o'clock Pacific time. I had a couple of people show up with their cups of coffee. We had a great conversation. We just talked about anything that came into our minds and things like that. We weren't talking specifically on reflection questions or anything. It was just a coffee get together, just to meet new people. That's all it was, a meet and greet. It's basically what it was. So if you want to join us, come up here to the QR code in the corner up here and scan that. That will take you to the Porchlight Community on School. Sign up, come join us there, and then you can join us every Tuesday morning for the coffee hour from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Pacific time. And we are very strict on our start and end times. So when we say an hour, we mean an hour. And I have cut people, actually had to cut somebody off, this morning to say, hey, I'm sorry, I have to cut this off, but it's 8 o'clock and I promised you guys I will get you out here by 8 a.m. I've got another call I've got to go get on. Let's meet again next week. So yeah, it was good that way. So yep, we got to do that. Where are we? Oh, we're up to reflection questions. That's right. So we got 4 for you. Where in your life are you being invited to risk greater openness? Number 2, how does vulnerability deepen your relationships and self-awareness? Number 3, what boundaries help you stay safe while allowing your heart to stay open? Number 4, who in your life models authentic openness and what can you learn from them? And our closing thought for this evening is openness is a risk, yes, but it's also the doorway to deeper love, connection, and freedom. And with that, we are out of here. Go out, have a super fantastic, sparkling evening, and we'll catch you guys back here tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. Pacific.